Thank you for joining us for tonight's event. My name is Bree Hogan. I'm the store manager of Powell City of Books here in Portland, Oregon. We're so excited tonight to welcome Jenny Lawson. You can check out our lineup of upcoming virtual events by visiting our website at powells.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for other news about Powell's books. We're so thrilled to welcome Jenny Lawson and Luvvie Ajayi Jones tonight. Jenny is the award-winning humorist known for her great candor in sharing her struggle with mental illness. She lives in Texas with her husband and daughter and was constantly buying too many books, not a real thing, she insists. So she decided to skip the middleman and just started her own bookshop. Welcome to the book business, Jenny. Her bookstore also serves booze because books and booze are what magic is made of. She has previously written Let's Pretend This Never Happened and Furiously Happy, both of which were #1 New York Times bestsellers. She also wrote You Are Here, which is inexplicably a New York Times bestseller, in spite of the fact that it was basically just a very fun coloring book. She would like to be your friend unless you're a real asshole. And yes, she realizes that this whole paragraph is precisely the reason she shouldn't be allowed to write her own bio. Jenny's new book is broken in the best possible way. Like all of her books, Jenny explores her life with both brutal honesty and humor. Tonight, joining Jenny Lawson in conversation is Luvvie Ajayi Jones, who is the author of the New York Times bestseller, I'm Judging You, the Do Better Manual, and her newly released second book, Professional Troublemaker, the Fear Fighter Manual. A 17-year blogging veteran, Luvvie writes on awesomelylovvie.com, covering all things culture with a critical yet humorous lens. She's the host of the top-rated podcast, Rants Randomness, and is the co-host of Jesus and Jollof with actress and comedian Yvonne Orji. Luvvie also runs her own social platform, Love Nation. Tonight's event will include a reading first by Jenny, then an audience Q&A and a conversation between Jenny and Luvvie. We're going to start out with a reading by Jenny. In the meantime, if you have questions for her, please use that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to submit all of your questions. If you put them in the chat, we'll probably lose them. So again, please use the Q&A button to submit your questions for the Q&A portion of the event. And we're going to just turn this over to Jenny, who's going to read to us from her new book, Broken. Thank you so much for joining us here at Powell's Books. We're really happy to have you.
Thank you for having me. This is it is exciting and incredibly nerve-wracking. So I just wanted to say first off, thank you to every single you who is watching this, because this is my first event and I am terrified, and I thought it would be less scary doing it from my house, and in a little way it is, but it's also really scary because I can't hear like if you're laughing or if you're going, Jesus, what's wrong with her? Is she drunk? And the answer is yeah, a little, but only because I'm scared. And so I have started with just a tiny bit of rum. If you would like to drink along with me, you can. I'm drinking this very cheap rum that Kenny Chesney made. This is a true story. This is all I have. It was on sale. So I am going to, before I start the reading, I'm going to do one thing, and I'm just going to tell you, I have this nervous tick, and it comes out when I'm really scared, and so it's going to be obvious. It's where I blink too hard, and I quite often afterwards somebody will be like, were you blinking really hard as some sort of a signal? Were you trying to tell us something? And then no, I'm just trying to tell you that I'm nervous. That's what a nervous tick is. So hopefully it won't bother you, but I promise I am not sending you undercover signs unless it's the undercover sign saying that I love you and thank you so much for supporting me. So I'm going to read a chapter from close to the end of Broken. So if you happen to start it today, if it arrived today, and maybe you haven't gotten that far, it may be new to you. If not, you could just pretend you've heard it for the first time. It is called, and that, oh, you know what I should say is that Luvvie is going to join us, but she was slightly overbooked. So she's going to join us in like 10 minutes or so. So if she pops up, I might get distracted and have no idea where I am. Yes. So, and that's why I can never go back to the post office again. So I said, I did what you told me to, and I returned that bag of stolen drugs. In exchange, I got a big bag of dicks, and that's why I can never go back to the post office again. And all of this is your fault. Victor glanced up from his computer and gave me that look that you give someone who you suspect is trying to make up a reason to never go to the post office. And I realized that maybe he needed proof, so I explained, and I would show you the penises, but there was an incident and now they're all trapped in my car holes, and I need you to help me dig them out so that they don't melt in there and scar young children when I break hard and dicks roll out at inopportune times. And then Victor sighed and he put his face in his hands, and I was like, I understand your frustration, but maybe recognize that I'm the victim here. And anyway, all of this is your fault because you're the one who said that I couldn't keep the drugs in the first place. And then I heard a strange man's voice say, so what happened to the penises? And that's when I realized that Victor was on a conference call. And I did feel bad, but number one, door locks and mute buttons exist, Victor. And number two, if I were Victor, I would have immediately said, I'm not sure who said that, but it sounds like a very serious concern that we should table for offline discussion, and then just gone on with the call. But he totally didn't. And I felt a little bad, but I was pretty sure that the people on the call were invested at that point. So I continued because I'm a people pleaser. Several people who have read this have asked me what car holes are, and duh, they're the holes that are in your car, like that black hole in between your seat and the gear shift where all your french fries and your dropped phones fall into, and where most of my penises currently were. So I said, remember yesterday when I picked up all of my packages at the post office and one of them had a bunch of pills in it, and you were like, you get the weirdest fan mail, don't take pills from strangers, blah, blah, blah. And then I realized that the post office had put the wrong label on the package and that it was actually for the lady in the next PO box. And you said that I had to go back and return the mail, even though I hate to talk to people because, quote, someone could die without their medicine. And so I did. But on the way there, the post office called me and they said that the lady with the pills accidentally got one of my packages and that she was bringing it back because she's a good person and that's what normal people do. Victor interrupted interruptingly. Spell check is saying interruptingly is not a word because I guess it's never spent any time with Victor before. Also, it stopped me in the middle of writing this in a totally interruptingly way. Way to disprove your point, spell check. I explained that I suspected that she had returned my package less because she was a better person than me and more because she probably opened up the box of dead prairie dog that I had been waiting for forever and mistakenly thought that it was a threat instead of a gift. And then Victor said, I don't even know which question to ask first. And I was like, is it who on earth would think a dead prairie dog is a threat? Because that's a pretty good question, honestly. But it's not just an anonymous box of dead rodent. It's a prairie dog dressed as Daenerys Targaryen. So it's pretty obvious that a lot of love went into it. A lot of love. Then I realized that Victor's coworkers were very quiet and might not understand the reference, so I loudly explained at the phone, Daenerys Targaryen is the mother of dragons and the true heir to the throne. And then Victor said that was literally the last thing that needed clarification regarding this whole conversation because I guess everybody has HBO now. But he was probably right, so I further clarified that the prairie dog was taxidermied, not just like a fresh corpse dressed up in tiny people clothes. That would be weird, and I agreed that people would be confused. Victor later said that this was not why anyone was confused and only made things more baffling for everyone. But I don't know anyone who wants a limp prairie dog corpse in a fancy dress and a tiny wig unless they're really into some kinky shit that I don't want to know about. But I'm not judging them because, hello, I have dicks stuck in my car holes. So anyway, I said I had to take the pills back because if I didn't, then technically I think that counts as stealing drugs. And since it happened at the post office, it would probably be a federal offense. And then I'd end up in jail for life because I don't want to make small talk with a mail clerk. You still with me? And Victor said, I mean, in theory, okay, so I went in, I gave the clerk the package and I apologized for opening it. And he said that the other lady did the same thing. And then he handed me the sack and I was like, who ships prairie dogs in a sack? And I thought maybe I had said it out loud because he looked at me in this really weird way. But then I realized that he was probably really looking at me because he had just handed me a big bag of dicks. Then Victor stared at me and I realized that I shouldn't say dicks on a business call. And so I said penises. I mean, a big old sack filled with a dozen squishy, small penises. And they have these smiley faces painted on them and their balls are their feet, I think. They're like those squishy stress toys that kids love, except these are penises and the size of a big toe. Also, they are very well made because they didn't stink like most of them do. The squishy toys, I mean, not penises. Yours smells fine. And then I whispered, shit, I just told everyone on the phone that your penis smells fine. And I felt like I should apologize, but also it's sort of a compliment. But then Victor was like, yeah, I disconnected that call right after dicks in your car holes. And at first I felt insulted, but then I was like, good call. And I moved in to high five him, but he totally didn't high five me back. Anyway, I continued. They'd been waiting all day to give me this open bag of penises. So all the people working there were like, that's the penis lady. And then the bag didn't have a note or a return address. So I basically got an anonymous bag of genitals. And I don't even know if that's supposed to be an insult, because usually if someone says, have a bag of dicks, that would be rude. But these are kind of adorable. So it's hard to say. And I would show them to you, except that I had an accident. Oh, look, Luvvie just joined us, but just for a second. And Luvvie, I'm right in the middle of penises. I'm right.
Right. I want you to keep talking about the penises. So let me not interrupt. I'm going to go off camera again so you can have full penis spotlight.
Okay. Victor picked his head up off the desk. Wait, hang on. Oh, I would show you the penises, except that I had an accident. Victor picked his head up off the desk. Wait, did you wreck your car? Is this just your way of distracting me from wrecking the car? This was extremely rude, but also a very valid question, because that totally sounds like something I would do. But I explained that I had to slam on my brakes because there was a mattress in the highway, and then the bag hit the dashboard and dicks exploded everywhere and a bunch rolled underneath the seats. The penises were the only casualties, and I thought about pulling them out before they rolled further under the seats, but you always hear about people having wrecks because they're looking for a CD on the floorboard, and I can't even imagine having to explain to the insurance adjuster that I had just run into because I was distracted pulling penises out of my car holes. Victor agreed that that would be awful, maybe not for the same reasons. Thanks for asking if I'm okay, by the way, I added. He took a deep breath. Sorry, are you okay? No, I'm not, because there are dicks stuck in my car holes and everyone at the post office thinks I buy tiny dildos in bulk. Right, Victor said, because that's the real issue here. And I said, now the people at the post office probably think I have a tiny vagina. And now every time that I see them, I'm going to want to defend my vagina and be like, I know you didn't ask out loud, but I can assure you that my vagina is much roomier than you think. Victor rubbed his temples. I'm not sure that's something to brag about. And then I continued, when I was in the parking lot, I did this Instagram video explaining the whole dick debacle. But while I was pulling out my penises and putting them on the dashboard, a guy walked by and he just stared at me while I was shooting a video of me playing with my penis in the car. And that's why I can never go back to the post office again. Victor suspected this was all just a ploy so that I would never have to go back to the post office, but he still helps me dig the penises out of the car because apparently they are very melty in a hot car, like lipsticks or crayons or dogs. Not that dogs are melty, you just shouldn't leave them in a hot car. Later, a woman saw my Instagram video and commented, oh, I sent you those as a gift, aren't they awesome? And yes, actually, they are. In fact, I enjoyed them so much, I put a handful in my purse to give to my friend Miley the next time that I saw her. But then I saw a snake in my garage slithering toward my open door, not a euphemism. And I wanted to scare it away but not hurt it. So I started whacking its path with my purse to make it turn around, but my purse was still open. So I was leaving this trail of purse debris instead of breadcrumbs. And then I tiptoed back into the house because it was dark and I was afraid the snake would dart under my feet and I would step on it. And then Haley opened the garage door because she'd heard all of the commotion and was like, why are you tiptoeing away from a snake? And why are there so many penises on the floor? And that was a good question. But technically, it might have helped to scare the snake away because maybe it looked like I was carrying around a bunch of snake heads, like some sort of crazy snake cutter-upper. Later, Instagram informed me that the snake was not venomous and was incapable of murder. Most readers were mainly concerned about the wording of my caption, which read, I just used my purse to chase the snake out of the house, but I didn't kill it, and I need you to tell me it's not poisonous so I don't regret not using the shovel. Thanks. Also, a penis fell out of my purse when I was lightly whacking it, and now my child has questions. Join the club, kid. P.S. It was very small and non-aggressive. The snake, I mean. And that's why I can't go back to the post office again. Holy crap. That was my first reading ever of this book.
Yeah.
That was so scary. Oh my God.
Happy Pub Day.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to get to talk to you.
Jenny, first of all, this is a crazy full circle moment. Because do you remember the first time we met?
Yeah, it was like 7 years ago. Like was it at Mom 2.0?
Blog Her.
Was it Blog Her?
It was the year that you keynoted Blog Her.
Oh
and
that was so long ago.
You like were on like this, you were on the big stage. It was like the whole conference was there. And I remember after your talk, you were like, okay, so I'll answer some questions. And I was like, I'm gonna get up and ask questions. And I got up and I introduced myself and you were like, Luvvie, I know who you are. And I was like, oh, you know who I am. And that's how we met.
God, I love that so much. So the first time, because I black out most of those things. So the first time that I totally remember spending time with you was at Mom 2.0, maybe.
Yes.
I want to say it was 5 years ago, 7 years ago, something.
It was like 7 years ago.
Yeah, and I was like, I want to talk to you, but I'm scared of people. Can you come to my hotel room?
Yeah.
Yes, I will come to your house. Okay, weirdo. And we just talked about writing, and I was like, you need to write a book. And you were like, I am writing a book.
Oh my God. Listen, like, that's crazy. I remember that because it was like, yeah, I remember it. We were in your room for like 2 hours just talking about life and writing and all these things. And it was before my first book came out. And you were like, yeah, like, you got to write this book. And then my first book came out. And on the paperback, which is what came out first, I was like, I'm going to ask Jenny if she can blurb my book. And you were like, yes.
Yes.
And you did. And it was amazing. And I was so grateful for you seeing me in that way. Like, I've read your work for such a long time. I've admired your vulnerability, your hilarious chill deficiency, and funny woman to funny woman. I was like, oh, so okay, this is possible. This can be done. So thank you for that. And then you then asked me to be your conversation partner for this. And I was like, oh, of course I have to. Yes.
Exactly. Because you're the best. And y'all, for real, like her first book, I really, really liked her first book, but her second book was so good. I picked it for the book club because I was like, everyone needs to read. Oh, it's so good. And then right after that, I was like, you need to start writing fiction because you've got such good words. Like
you did tell me. You've now challenged me, and I was like, okay, so maybe my next thing is I need to like work on a novel, because you literally was like, why are you not writing fiction? I don't know. It scares me.
Yeah, me too.
It scares me. So maybe one day we'll like challenge each other to actually write like a book that's not about our lives and the shenanigans we go through.
I'm in.
Boom. So this book, Happy Pub Day. Everybody, if you can, put in the chats a yellow heart. Okay, please do. So what made you realize that it was time to write another book?
Well, I'm always writing just because that's my best way of communicating. But I'm so slow, I think, compared to most people. And so with this, I was like, well, I'll just wait for life to happen. And it took about 5 years for me to put it in a book. And that always sounds so ridiculous because it makes it sound like I waited for like tornadoes and exciting things. And instead, like all my chapters are like, dog condoms and, watching do sit-ups. But those are the moments where you're like, okay, all right, this is life that's happening that I want to share, that I think people would maybe not relate to, but could say, I'm so glad I'm not her. And if I can laugh at that, then I can laugh at myself.
I also think it makes us feel less alone about having absurd life moments.
Yes.
Because life will drop kick you in the pants and you're wondering, you're like, is it just me? No, it's not just you. Jenny lets you know it's not just you.
Right. You know, that was so one of the chapters is the one about awkwarding bringing us all together. And when it first happened, you know, I just wrote this little sort of throwaway tweet about me mortifying myself, and all of these people started sharing their really terrible mortifying moments, and they were so funny that I had tears rolling down for days. There were thousands and thousands of them, and they kept on coming, and I thought I have to put this in the book, because there's something so wonderful about being vulnerable and sharing that. And what I found, and I was like, okay, well, for all these people, I want to double check and make sure that they're okay with it, you know. So I reached out to each one of them to say, can I use this? And I figured about half of them would be like, no, because they're so embarrassing. But not a single person said no. Every single person said, not only can you use it, but that horrifying moment that used to at 3 a.m. I would just cringe and go, oh my God, remember that terrible time that the tampon fell out of my, you know, coat as I was waving and it hit somebody in the face, and instead they're like, now that's my most liked tweet. I had all of these people who came out of the woodwork and were like, that reminds me of something that happened to me. And now I'm friends with these people. And now I celebrate that embarrassment. And now I'm like, I love that story. And that's so great, because once we give ourselves permission to love the ridiculousness, all of a sudden so much fear falls away.
Absolutely. You're giving us permission to be ridiculous. And I think we need a little bit more permission to be ridiculous. So there's a whole bunch of questions waiting from the people who are here. Natalie is asking, what does your daughter think of all your stories? Did you ever feel like you needed to hide the more risque ones from her?
That is a really good question. Haley has never read any of my books. They're out. She totally can. And any chapter that she's in, and I do this with all my books, any chapter where there's somebody in it, whether it's my parents, my sister, I will send it to them first and say, if there's anything you want me to cut, I'll cut. Luckily, it's been just the opposite. And instead, it's been my sister saying, I can't believe you left out this story. And I'm like, oh my God, I forgot that normal people don't do that. Yes, I will add that. So Haley she did start to read one of them. And then she was like, what is this about a sex concussion? She was like, I'm done with these books. And so yeah, but it is funny because her friends read them, and she's like, all of my friends follow you. All of my friends are like, your mom's so cool. And she's just my mom, y'all. She's just my mom.
You are the cool mom, okay?
I'm the cool mom.
You're the cool mom. Okay, you need a t-shirt now that says cool mom, so Haley can be like, Mom, that's not cool. That's not what you do.
The most uncool would be to wear the cool mom.
The cool mom, you must do it now. Now you must do it. She's gonna be like, why are you giving her more ideas? Callie's asking, I was wondering if you could give me a good name idea for my future Rottweiler. Your pet names are the best. Thanks for helping me to learn to love myself.
Man, God, I'd have to think about it. A Rottweiler name.
Yeah. This person should tweet Jenny this question so she can marinate on it.
I gotta think about it, because I'm leaning toward just Fang, but I think there's something funnier. Like there's got to be something like really some wonderful pun. It's gonna come to me.
It might come to you at like 3 a.m. So yeah, that's why I was like, tweet her, because she might randomly give you this answer at some random hour. Okay, so Dana's asking, you've broken so many barriers with brutal honesty. Did you meet with resistance from publishers or suits early on? Can you offer any advice on how you emotionally handled? Dude, the question moved. What happened? How? Oh, okay. Wait, damn it. The question moved. Huh. Okay, that's interesting. Where'd the question go?
She was like, I've changed my mind. Never mind. Don't
delete it, right? I was like, wait, the question moved. And I'm just like, I didn't touch it. That's interesting. I will come back to that. When I find it, I will come back to it. Okay. AT is asking, your book, Let's Pretend This Never Happened, was life-changing for me. I felt less alone in my mental illness. How has your life changed or shifted after becoming the literary leader in making mental illness more visible?
Um, I would say in some ways it hasn't really changed very much at all, because I'm still pretty reclusive and kind of hermity. And so it's changed in that I feel more comfortable sharing the things that before, every time that I would share, like, what was it, 12 years ago when I shared that I had depression, that was really scary 12 years ago. And then I talked about anxiety, and each time it was scary, but each time people were like, oh, I thought it was just me. Like, I thought I was the only one not talking about this. And each time that I would share more, I would like, this is going to be the time that people run away, and I would be like, okay, I want to talk about that I have trichotillomania, where I, pull my hair out and from stress. And what I found was I had all of these people who would, when I would go on book tour, they would come in, they would whisper, and they would be like, me too. Me too. I never knew anybody else who had this. And what's amazing is there would be so many people in the line who would all say, I have trichotillomania. I have dermatillomania. I've never met anyone else who had, and I wanted to be like, well, did you see that person four people ago? Because she does too. Like, there's so many of us do. And actually, I think it's kind of given me more permission to be myself. I like when it comes to, like, even with my hair pulling, my hair is so thin because of it. And so I used to, up through this year, I would wear these little halos. So because you wear them and it's like, it makes you look like you have more hair. And then all of a sudden people are like, look, your hair's so thick and long. I'm like, oh yeah, I've totally not been pulling it. And now I'm like, you know what, fuck that. It's just, this is me. And people, they make me feel more confident. And then I think, I think I get more from them than I give back. One of the things that has been really nice, though, that's happened during COVID. So I don't often get to travel and speak and do stuff like that because I'm just so nervous all the time. And so I always say no to any speaking things. But the Mayo Clinic recently, they were like, we'd like you to talk about invisible disabilities. And they had asked me before, and I was like, and every time I would be like, that would be really nice. However, my disability makes me not be able to do that. And so this was the first time that I was able to say, it's virtual. Okay, I'm totally in. And all of these people were able to speak who weren't before. So I don't know. There's a little part of me that's like, even though, I mean, COVID sucks and rest in peace, Granny, like it was not fun, but there's some really great stuff that has come out of it. Like, I hope that we can keep these sort of lax rules, this idea that nothing has to be perfect and that we can do things differently.
First of all, I fully agree. There's been some crappy things about COVID, but there's also been some amazing things. I do go speak, and I'm on a flight every 3 days before COVID, right? Now I'm like, you guys don't need me in anybody's room. We can do this on Zoom. We can just keep this part going. I want to keep that part going where I don't have to go anywhere, leave my house. I can be in pajama pants and give you all the value you need, okay? I don't want to now put on pants that don't stretch because y'all need me to give a speech. You can give a speech right here. I want us to keep that part going. I really do.
Oh,
and the whole
100%. This morning I did like a little live TV spot for this, and I was holding Hunter as Tomcat, and he was like just caressing my face as I was talking about the book, and the lady that was interviewing me was like, "This is the best interview ever. Like, what is that? Who is that? Tell me." Okay, and the cat just took over. And that wouldn't happen normally. Normally, I could not bring Hunter S. Tomcat onto a show,
Yes. Okay. So I finally got that question back. Dana was asking, you have broken so many barriers with brutal honesty. Did you meet with resistance from publishers or suits early on? Can you offer any advice on how you emotionally deal with stupid dicks and fuckheads?
So good. So the first part of that is I was so incredibly lucky to find like the most amazing agent, Needy Madon, who is actually watching this. And she was so instrumental in helping me find like, this is the right publishing house for you. This is the right editor for you. This is, because working with an editor with a publishing house, like it's like finding a therapist. Like there's no bad therapist, but there are bad therapists for you. Like maybe there's people that just don't get your shit, you know? So I'm really lucky that I was able to work with Amy Einhorn, because she understands mental illness, and she's so laid back about when I'm like, hi, I have to take a year off. Hi, guess what? I'm 4 years behind on my deadline. Please don't sue me yet. And she's like, you're fine. It's okay. Don't worry about it. So I think, you know, finding people who not only will listen and understand, but also will push back when sometimes you have some blind area where you're like, oh, I'm sure this is fine. And they're like, yeah, actually, that's not okay. That's actually, this is not going to work. And let's change this. And why don't you learn this? And so you want to find somebody who makes you feel smarter for having worked with them. And I'm really, really lucky with that. So I think you shouldn't feel bad about leaving if you are dealing with people, because I have, you know, I've dealt with a lot of people who are just total assholes. I'm related to a lot of people who are, you know, total assholes. And some who are like, mental illness doesn't exist and depression is just laziness. And it sucks. It always sucks. And it doesn't change the fact of, even though you'd think that I would be able to say like, I've written so many books about it. And so of course I know that depression is real, but you have that one person saying it's not real and you don't really need to take medication, and you start to question it. So I think the important thing is just to keep in the back of your head, especially if you're in publishing, keep in the back of your head that you're not just writing for yourself, you're also writing for people who are not in the position to be able to write, because not everybody has the privilege to write about whatever your struggle is. You know, there's a lot of people who are dealing with their own struggle and they don't have the ability to talk about it. And since I can, then it's my responsibility.
Yes, love it. Samantha's asking, can I get a blogger seal of approval on my dog's name? Leia Corgana. She's a Corgi mix.
Oh my God, that's so good. It's so good. It's so
right?
Good.
Right.
The general. I love it.
Yes.
So good.
So Paula, just wanted to say you have saved my life many times over. Thank you from every fiber of my being for existing and for being beautiful you. I love you.
Oh, I love you right back.
Dang it. These are amazing.
I honestly, I get back so much more than I give. It's so not unusual for me to just sort of disappear for a couple of days when I'm having a really rough time mentally, and then I'll show up at 3 a.m. and be like, someone tell me it's gonna be okay. And people are there and they're like, it is gonna be okay. And also I was sitting here worrying about the same thing. And by saying it out loud to you, I'm saying it to me.
Yes, yes. So Link is asking, there's only one question that I have. How is Dorothy Barker? Also, thank you so much for existing. You're one of my top 5 fave people in existence.
I love it. Dorothy Barker is fantastic. She is actually in the other room with Victor, because anytime I'm on a Zoom, she is the loudest. She wants to be in the entire time. She won't stop barking. So she and Victor are actually in the other bedroom, and they're probably watching this. So hi, Dorothy Barker.
Yes.
I just listened to a couple of minutes ago, somebody told me, they were like, you know, your audiobook has these little Easter egg surprises, and I didn't know what they were talking about. So I went out to my car and I got the CDs, and I hate listening to my own voice, but I was like, I'll listen to just the first part and see what they're talking about. And it opens with, because I recorded it in my closet, it opens with like Hunter S. Tomcat meowing, and you can hear the purring, and then you can hear the dog, and you can like, it's such a perfect little slice in time, like moment in time. And I'm sure some people would look at it and go, how unprofessional, you know, that you can hear this cat purring through the whole thing. But I don't know. I kind of love it.
I'm going to go download the audiobook now. I actually didn't know that. I love that piece. That's a great Easter egg. That's a great start. It fits. It fits. You're like hugging this out. It fits.
It totally does. And it has an extra chapter about all the stuff that happened afterward, including that it has all these bloopers. And it was so embarrassing because I was reading the book, and there's this whole chapter that's all about editing and about how I'm so bad at it, and I'm just an editor's worst nightmare. And as I was reading it, over and over, the producer Maddie, she would stop me because she's listening in New York, and I could hear her, and she was like, her wife is on in the background because she's doing HR stuff, and I could hear it, and she would like break in, and she would so nicely, she would say, have you ever heard that word pronounced? And then she would pronounce it the right way. Because I read, but I don't speak. And so there's all these words that over and over I would say wrong. And one of them was minutia, the plural. And I was like, oh, the plural of minutia is minutia. And she was like, have you heard it pronounced minutia-e? And I was
like, minutia-e, really?
That's what she said. I was like, that cannot possibly be fucking right.
Minutia-e?
Minutia-e is the, like, you look at it, and I was like, that's not right. And then I went to the pronunciation thing. Minutia. Right.
You know what? Audiobooks are a mind fuck. Like, recording an audiobook really tells you the type of writer you are. Like, it honestly, you don't know what type of writer you are until you have to sit here and get all your words perfect. I thought I was clever, and I sometimes am. But I remember recording the audiobook for I'm Judging You, and there's a sentence in there where it's like a 12-word, it's probably like a 20-word sentence where 12 of the words starts with the P. I hated myself in that moment when I was like, why did I do this? Why was I being clever? Who told me I needed to do this alliteration in this way? Because I had to repeat it like 15 times. I kept on being like, it was bad. So audiobooks are painful to record. Just, you guys, this is why, if you have bought Jenny's book, I need you to also go buy the audiobook. Those of us authors who have read our own audiobooks, guys, we put in so much work. Just buy it just to be like, I saw that you did the work. So even if you get the hardcover, go also buy the audiobook, because God damn it, it's like days on end, listening to your voice over and over again, finding out that you mispronounce half the English language. Okay, like I don't know how to do words apparently, because when I started doing words in the book, I was like, that's not how you say it. That's not how you say it. Okay. And then she'll repeat it and I'll say it like I just said it, as opposed to the actual correct way. It was a whole situation. So please go buy Jenny's audiobook and any other author's audiobook who you love, because we put in so much work. It's labor. Okay.
It is so crazy. But it wasn't even just that, although there was so much of that. But there was also, one is because I write in run-on sentences.
Yes. Oh my God. You must have hated yourself for real.
Oh, so I was like, oh my God, I did not realize how many run-on sentences that I use until you have to do it all in one. And they would be like, you know what, why don't you take a breath and do that one again? More, yeah. Can you do some breath control? Do you want to take a break? And I'd be like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I didn't even realize I write and run-on sentences until I was reading my audiobook. And I was like, God damn it. Am I still on the same sentence? She literally was like, okay, let's act like there's a comma at the end of this word. She's like, just act like there's a comma there. And I was like, okay, let me just put an invisible comma. Cause I was like,
Did you have where you actually found things that were like fucked up in your book and you had to be like, get to your editor and be like, hey, I wrote that wrong. That was not, okay, good.
I had 99 edits. So I recommend everybody do their audiobook before your book is locked. Yes. Because it's in the reading of the book, you will find things that you're like, we all miss that. I had 99 edits after my audiobook session to the actual manuscript. 99.
I'm sure mine was, she was like, you want me to note that for your editor? And note it for and it would be, and I'd go by and I would be like, oh, if less is more, then more is less, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, does that make sense? And she was like, it's funny. And I'm like, but I don't think it makes sense.
Yeah.
And she's like, and then we'd have these long conversations. And I'm like, this conversation actually would make a great chapter. So
Yes. No, that is actually real. You'd be like, I actually am sometimes I'm nonsensical. It's fine. This is why we all need editors. This is why we need editors. They make our lives better. They make our words make sense. Like, please buy audiobooks, please. And we work so hard. Like, God, this is why, and they pay $0. Like, it's so bad. Like, audiobooks also don't pay that much. So you're like, so I just spent 6 days of my life.
And you never get anything back.
It's like, oh, I'm just doing this for service. You are all welcome.
What's really nice though is I always have people who are like, oh, I went on a road trip with you, or oh, I sleep with you at night. And I'm like, that's romantic, you know?
You're like, what chapter did you fall asleep on? Like, let me know.
Exactly. That's the one we're gonna cut.
Exactly. Yes. So somebody asked the question of, are your books colored behind you? Like, are they actually organized by color?
They are, except for this one is, these are all my books in different languages. Yes, all the other, you're gonna see it's so messy. I've got all the shit on the floor, but yes, they are all in. There's the red ones up there.
First of all, I have bookshelf envy. I just got my office renovated, so I'm actually also going to show you that my bookshelf is also by color.
Yes.
Right? I just feel like it just looks really pretty. So
beautiful.
Yeah. So, and that looks like that because it just got organized, because before it was in shambles. I need like 2 more bookshelves because I'm like, I'm out of book space, which clearly now I have to buy a new house.
I'm sorry, do you see all of these books that are on the floor over here? And all of these books that are on the floor? And then you can't see it, but literally there are 200, Victor just counted them and he was very mad at me. There are 200 books in the kitchen in big stacks, because I keep bringing them home from the bookstore and I'm like, oh, this looks good. Oh, look at, and they're so good. Look, I'm reading this one right now. I probably shouldn't even show y'all because this may be a Strangelings selection, but My Heart is a Chainsaw.
Ooh.
Oh my God. Oh, it's so good. It's Stephen Graham Jones. It's the same guy that wrote The Only Good Indians. And it is like a fantastic, it's like a slasher horror, own voices. Ooh. Oh, it's real. If you like horror, I'm halfway through and I'm in.
Nice. Very nice.
Yes.
Somebody is asking, Corinne is asking, have you ever been to Portland and Powell's books here? If so, do you have some stories to share about it?
I have been to Powell's many times. Love Powell's. What I really like about Powell's is it's so easy to get lost in. And when I started my own bookshop, I was like, oh, I want to have it like that, where you can just get lost in it. And Elizabeth Jordan, the general manager, she was like, yeah, we don't have a big bookshop like you need to have a big bookshop to be able, we just have this one area. We have the bar, you can get real drunk and then get lost on the way back to the bathroom. Is that what you want? And so I was like, I guess so. Okay.
So, I mean, we actually answered a question, wondering how narrating your book feels after writing, like madness. Jenny, you can tell the post office people the tiny dicks are dildos for your cats, not you. Charlotte gave you that tip.
That is very
good. That's good.
Yes. I actually was looking for, because I had a bunch of them in my drawers and then I couldn't find them. And so I texted Haley because they're these little squishies. They're like, this isn't it, but this is like a little unicorn one, like a beauty blogger. But
like a beauty, getting your influencer on, like, do you guys
exactly. See, I am not good at it, obviously, because I can't make it work. Yeah. But I texted Haley and I was like, do you know where all those little penises went to? And she didn't respond because she's playing Dungeons and Dragons virtually with her friends upstairs. And I was like, I'm having a penis problem. Where's the penises? And she was like, what's wrong with
you? You're having a penis problem.
Yeah.
That might be the name of your next book. Having a penis problem, a whole lot of people are going to pick it up expecting something completely different. And like,
exactly. I changed my book titles over and over and over until.
Ooh, so tell us, what were some titles for this before you settled on Broken?
The let's see, Full Grown Mammal was sort of the one going forward. Jenny Lawson, Full Grown Mammal was the sort of starting point. And then it just, like, almost every chapter title ended up being something where I was like, that might be a title. That might be a title. And then finally there was a title that had broken in it. And my agent was like, that's your theme, right? In this book, like all your things get broken and you're broken. And I was like, oh, okay, that's my title.
And I'm obsessed with book covers. Obsessed. A good book cover makes my heart sing. Obsessed. Okay. And honestly, that's why I'm like, for my first book, I'm still obsessed with my book cover because it just makes me laugh. And the one thing about your books, your book covers are epic. Epic. Like, it's just, you look at them and you're just like, I get it. I know exactly what this is. So what was this process like coming up with this one?
Oh my gosh, it was really fun. I looked for a really long time trying to find, because I always use taxidermy on my book covers, and I was going to use Fleece Witherspoon, who is over here. I was
Fleece Witherspoon.
Yes, little Fleece. And so I was like, this is going to be, and so that actually was for a while the cover. And then I was like, I told my editor, I was like, what I would really like though is there's this artist that I like named Omar Ryan, and he does these great paintings of these like romantic old-fashioned women and girls, and they're holding these monsters, and it's such the perfect sort of analogy of what it's like walking around with whatever your struggle is. So like mine is like depression and anxiety, and that you're walking around and it's exhausting, but at the same time you can find a way to love it. And so I was like, if you could maybe do one like this, and you could have them like eating all the flowers so that it's happy but also a monster. And he was totally in. So I was so lucky. And it was so much fun.
It's an amazing cover. Like, honestly, and the color, because, okay, so here's the other thing about color coding your bookshelves. You start realizing that there's a theme in publishing. Publishing loves turquoise books, loves them, like loves turquoise. Like, I'm gonna show you guys that right now. Like, look at that.
Yep.
All the turquoise, all the blues, all the things. The ones that don't exist a lot of, the yellows. There's a little bit fewer, there's more whites, and reds are also slightly pop, but not really, because that other shelf is actually my own books. But this yellow, it like jumps out. It's so vibrant. Like, it makes you feel joyful holding it. And honestly, what I find also in going to my bookshelves, oftentimes I'm looking for books that are not about burden. And your books, even though they are about the pains of life, they're making you laugh. So this yellow, this might be your favorite book cover from me anyway. Like, this is the favorite of all the three of them for me.
Yay! Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. I really struggled with it because I was like, is that weird putting myself on the cover? Is that, and yeah, I was like, well, whatever. I like it. If people don't like it, I guess they won't buy it.
But we love it because your work is like making everybody feel seen, which I think is the power of writing. You live in the zone of being seen. Okay, one other question for you. I love the fact that you have not updated your blog theme in literally 10 years. Like, whenever I visit your blog, it takes me back to old blogosphere when we all actually used to tell the truth, when we all didn't have like really big careers to that point where people thought we could write books. Your blog is a time machine.
It is. Yeah, it absolutely is. I've thought before, every once in a while, I'm like, maybe I should update it. And then I just think, this is where I'm comfortable. This is like when you have like a comfortable chair. I mean, I think it's kind of the point where like you have this love for this chair, but then maybe everybody else comes over and they go, that chair is like a piece of shit. Like, you should throw that away. And they comment on it. You're like, yeah, they did. And that's why I don't feel bad spilling rum on it. Like, this is a comfortable, and so that's what my blog is it is a comfortable chair that might have cat vomit on it, but I cleaned it up. So you can still see it, but it's clean. It's clean.
It's so good. Like, I'm like, this is literally this is the place that we all belong, where we all used to have the blog rolls
Yes.
Right when blog rolls was like a big thing, when you was like, oh my God, I got added to her blog roll. Like that's how you really claim somebody and vouch for them. You had them in your blog roll. That's on your sidebar, the 3 columns.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, I still have it. It's funny, every once in a while I'll see people from the old days and they'll be like, I'm thinking about blogging again. I'm like, some of us never stopped.
We
like,
never stopped.
Exactly.
We've just been doing this, like, and I guess it worked out.
I think it did. I think it did. We're the best. I mean, come on.
We're basically the kids who went to the party ended and we stayed. And we were like
clean. And then the next day we were like, let's just continue to party, just us. It's just us.
That's actual factuals. We're just like, we're gonna stay. I mean, why not? And everybody else is like, but the party's done. We're like, it's okay. I'm still here.
This is fine. This place is fine.
It's fine. What are you most proud of that you've done so far?
Oh, gosh. I think I'm most proud of the fact that my daughter is still alive, which just like sounds ridiculous, but like my whole thing is I wanted to be a mom, and I wanted, like, my thing was, it will be a success if she lives to 18, because that's my job, is to make her, satisfied and happy and fulfilled as much as you can, which you can't. But as much as you can, give them support. And so I would say that that's probably the thing that I'm most proud of. Professionally, I think the thing that I am most proud of is that I have people who I absolutely adore and love and just worship, and they like me too. And that is such a strange sort of thing, but like with you, and like with, there's so many people who I'm just like, I look up to, and I'm like, look what they're doing, and then I'm like, oh, they like me back. And there's something about that makes me feel like, okay, maybe I am a good person, because I have a tendency to doubt that in myself, of that at any moment somebody's going to be like, why did we like her? She's boring. She's not really funny. She's like, she never leaves the house. There's something wrong with her. We're just encouraging bad behavior. And so I think honestly, the people that I've been able to surround myself with, even though I know for like most of them would be like, yeah, like we text once every 5 years, but for me, that's it. That's enough. Like that I'm friends enough with people that I can reach out and be like, hey, will you moderate this thing with me? And the people that I love will go, yeah, I like you, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Right? It's so nice. And I have, oh my God, I had, there was recently this thing on Twitter where this guy was like, fellow authors aren't your friends, they're your competition. And I was like, okay, that's, first of all, that's total bullshit, because there's so much room for more voices.
Bullshit.
Exactly. And the very fact that, with like, this is weird that I'm having a virtual book tour, and it's, this is not the way that it's supposed to be. But I had all these great people like you and Neil Gaiman and Judy Blume and Felicia Day and Samantha Irby and Christopher Moore, and like all of these people who were like, hey, I'll moderate. Hey, I'll come in and help you. I know this is going to be hard. And, I think that there are people want to help, and sometimes it's just hard to ask for that, or to let yourself be helped.
And that's real. The idea that we're all competition is actually bullshit for real, because I'm even looking at the back of the book right now, and like my blurb is now on the back of your book, which is like, what? Again, you chose my book as your book club pick. And I think when people just really stop understanding that the competition is not real, like it's not real unless you let it be real, unless you let it. I think for women who are funny, like you, like Samantha Irby, like me, like Phoebe Robinson, who write very specific, Ali Brosh, you know what I mean? Like there's not that many of us who write stuff that makes people laugh.
Yeah.
Imagine if we're all like, Who hurt? That's my competition. That's trash.
Right. And it's just the opposite, where I'm the first one who, and when Ali Brosh, she did her virtual tour, and she was like, hey, will you moderate a thing for me? And I was like, absolutely, but also I'm sort of afraid. And she was like, I'm literally going to be in a pillow fort, and I will never ever, like, because she's even more reclusive than I am. And she was like,
she disappeared for 8 years on the internet.
Oh yeah, totally. And I would send her like texts and stuff, and she wouldn't respond, but I was like, I know you're reading this, and it's completely okay that you're not responding, which was so wonderful. And what was really lovely is afterwards she was like, so I have these long fantasies that we go out and we go on on a road trip, and we go do, and I'm like, oh my God, I do the exact same thing. And we're like, we go to haunted houses and we do all this stuff. And so I'm like, you know what? I mean, maybe in real life we don't leave the house, but in our minds, we have this like full creative friendship. And I just kind of feel the same way with so many people, including you, and including so many people who, like, especially like Samantha with her books. So often I will read a chapter and it will be so funny and poignant and perfect, and I will immediately be like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. That reminds me of. And then I will write a chapter and there's so many chapters in my book that are like conversations with different people, where I'm like, I'll read something and I'm like, that reminds me of, and nobody has any idea that these are really just conversations I'm having with people who don't know that they're talking to me.
Do you ever play The Sims?
Yes. Oh my God, I kill them all the time. Oh my God, I kill them.
That's what I was thinking right now. I was like, wait a minute, just build the lives in The Sims. And live your best life. Yeah, The Sims. My Sims families are neglected right now, but
oh my God, they were always peeing themselves. I mean, they constantly were crying because I just was like, I forgot you had to go to the bathroom. And then, I had this one where like the entire family died, and it was just the little girl that was left, and she would go out and just cry at the cemetery. And I was like, I'm even imaginary people.
So there's cheat codes in The Sims now that lets you like create Sims that will, like, if they want to pee, and if you forget to make them go pee, they will go pee themselves. If they make a mess, they'll clean it up yourself. So you're basically feeling like a god just watching them run their own lives. And you're just like, oh, okay. They go to work when it's time for them to go to work. I'm over here like, yes. Like, so if you have a god complex, it's a great way to spend some time and just watch your Sims live their lives and do random shit.
Oh my God, that is
wait, I gotta tell you all about Wicked Whims. Do you know Wicked Whims?
No.
So there's this cheat in The Sims where you can make the Sims do all types of fucked up shit. Like, I think Wicked Whims is like, I don't know who came up with this. It's this weird extra code that when you add it to it, it will have them do like threesomes. Like, it's the weird, yeah. Oh yeah. You can have them, they can watch porn.
Oh my God.
It's a whole thing. It's like, some people are really problematic because the shit they put in Wicked, they can kill each other. They can become drug dealers. So they can like deal crack and meth. It's a whole thing. Like, oh, you can be so devious in The Sims. So I welcome you to feel free to.
I'm 100% getting back in, because I mean, it was probably 10 years ago when I was doing it. And
no, it's gotten much better.
Oh my God. I killed like all my Tamagotchis when I was a kid. And I was like, this is just Tamagotchis all over again. I'm just killing everything. All my plants are dead. Everything's dead.
Oh my God. So yeah, I'm just gonna put you onto The Sims, so then you can like create a character that looks like all your friends. You know what I mean? Like, create each character, and then you can hang with them in Sims world, and you don't have to leave your house. I think it's amazing.
Oh my God, I'm totally doing that. I'm totally doing that. Oh, I'm so excited.
Yes.
Too, because she's always doing Roblox, and I don't understand Roblox. And
what's that one?
I think it's sort of like Sims, but it's more like you're making your own video. I don't know. She plays it with her friends, and they're always doing stuff, and I don't understand it. And there's dragons, or maybe there's not. I get that in the Dungeons and Dragons. Everything gets confusing.
There is mermaids in Sims now. There's a whole island that you can occupy in The Sims where like you can create mermaid Sims who, when they're walking on Earth, they have regular feet, and then they can go into the water. It's a whole thing. You got, like, I'm telling you, the new Sims game, you're gonna be addicted. So do it after your launch is finished, because you might miss some book tour stops in The Sims otherwise.
I'm making sirens to sing men to their death.
Yes, you can lure them in and make them drown. Again, people, listen, do all the things in the Sims game. I think it's healthy.
Oh my God, I'm totally doing that. I'm writing it down right now. This is what I'm gonna do after this is over.
This is over. Give yourself a Sims month and then come back out into the world you live in. But this book is magical. I'm so glad you wrote it. And I'm so glad you had me do this conversation with you. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of this launch.
Thank you. And this book is also magical and you should pick it up. And thank you for being a part of this launch. I appreciate it. And thank you to Powell's for having us.
Yes.
It was absolutely lovely to host both of you. Thank you very much for being here. Just a couple of questions we're seeing in the chat and Q&A that I wanted to make sure everybody heard. If you ordered the book, which if you're on this event, you ordered the book, and if you chose shipping, it was shipped out today, and if you chose store pickup, it'll be at your store tomorrow. So check your email for that. We're also getting lots of questions, Jenny, about the Oracle cards you did for Independent Bookstore Day. I just dropped a message about that. It's very limited at local independent bookstores. Powell's is expecting some here at our store. You do have to come in person on Saturday, April 24th, and they are first come, first serve. So just wanted to answer those two questions we saw pop up a lot in the chat tonight. This was such a truly lovely experience for everyone. I can see in the comments in the Q&A how much they love both of you, so it was a real treat to host you tonight. Jenny's new book is Broken in the Best Possible Way, and Luvvie Ajayi Jones's book, most recent book, is Professional Troublemaker, the Fear Fighter Manual. Thank you very much for being here. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Bye.